on the computer. Hi, everybody. Welcome, finally, to the book launch of our of Sekhmet and my new book, Sekhmet, Transformation in the Belly of the Goddess. And to be truthful, I'd have to add Debbie and a zillion other people because I couldn't have done it myself. And Debbie was like the most important of my helpers in this one. So I want to thank you, Debbie, as first thing on this book launch, because without you, we wouldn't be here. This never would have happened, and it certainly wouldn't have been as good. So thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you, Nikki. It was a pleasure working with you.
We did have fun. Okay, so I'm going to give you back the picture. Well, you know, before I do that, because I want to be able, you'll have to give me the answer to this, Debbie.
Okay.
How many of you already have the book, Sekhmet, Transformation in the Belly of the Goddess? Most of you don't.
So if you, if everybody goes to their screen, and you might have to move your mouse around, and there should be something that says participants. Click on that, and you'll have a sidebar pop up. And at the bottom of the sidebar, there's a spot where you can click that says raise hands.
The other thing we can do, isn't there like a 1, 2, 3, or 4? Or was that my story?
That's the same thing, Nick.
But I was going to say, hit 1 if you have the book, hit 3 if you don't have the book, hit 4 if you're in the belly, and hit 5 if you're curious.
I don't know if that'll work.
I don't think they can do that in. Yeah.
No,
what they can do is they can either write it in the chat box, or they can do what Debbie's saying. Click more at the bottom of the thing, and then you can raise your hand.
Yeah, raise your hand if you have the book. And Debbie,
okay, there's 11, 12 hands up now.
Cool. A lot of people already have the book. Okay. I forgot to bring my twine. I went to get it.
Oh, yes, you did.
13, 14.
Do you remember where it
I
is?
think so.
Cool.
Let me go and see.
I think it's just on the kitchen table, but I don't remember. It might be the dining room.
So there's 14 with hands up, and I know that there's a few where the books are on their way.
And how many of you have actually entered the process? Have actually started doing the work? It's a big commitment. We'll talk about it.
Okay. I'm just trying to...
So, wow.
So if those that have their hands up that have the book, if they...
You've already done your knots? Have any of you have you made your offering to Sekhmet yet? How many have already made your offering to Sekhmet?
Okay, it's just changed here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hands up.
Excellent. How are you doing? I want to hear from those of you first to find out if you're okay and if you have any particular questions. If you're in the process, because I really need to know you're all okay and what you need to know first.
Okay, so Connie Vogel has her hand up. I'll just unmute her. Oh, there.
How you doing, Connie?
Hi, sweetie. I'm good. Thank you for the beautiful autograph. I need Debbie's too, I guess. I just started reading the book. I just started reading the book. It's a beautiful start, but I've just started diving into it. So I'm afraid I didn't have as much time to read as I'd like to.
Offering yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Of those of you who have given the offering, thank you, Connie. How many are inside, and how are you doing?
Again, if you could raise your hands if you want to speak.
It looks like we have Danielle. Daniela? Where's Daniela? I don't know how to find her.
I'll unmute her. There.
There you are. Okay, so let me put it on you. So tell us, how you doing in there?
Well, I'm actually through it already. I've done the completion ceremony tonight, burned my twine, and have used the Lion's portal to sort of go through that portal with a completion ceremony. When I got the book, I realized that there are sort of 22 days, and the day I got the book, it just worked out. So I got to the 8th of August to finish. I'm doing a ritual every day. So went beautifully, yes.
So you bring up something very important, and that's timing. And in the way that timing works, particularly with this, we've had incredible magic connected with the timing of this. You mentioned the Lion's portal. I did not even know about the Lion's portal till 2 days ago. And two of my associates said, did you know that this is happening during the Lion's portal? Christina, do you want to really quickly tell them what the Lion's portal is so that they know what's happening?
Okay, so the climate of the Lion Gate portal. The Lion Gate is a powerful portal in Leo that is under the guardianship of the royal spirit lion of Sirius. These magnificent beings of light, known as the lions of yesterday and tomorrow, held the sacred space for the new light codes and evolutionary templates to ascend to Earth and to activate the grids and light bodies of all of who are receptive to lifting their evolution to the higher spiritual consciousness. And that's today.
That's today. So last night was a full moon and lunar eclipse, a partial lunar eclipse. And of course, in 2 weeks, we have the solar eclipse. So this window between last night and the solar eclipse is really, really important. So it's a really important time to be doing ceremony. If after you hear what it means to commit to this book and to actually do the work, it would be a really good time to enter into this process. Whether you can complete it in 2 weeks is really up to you. I mean, I've had people complete it in 2 days. I don't recommend that. There's a lot more time. I think it takes at least a few days to prepare. Mm-hmm. In Egypt, I think the people were in the belly were you in Egypt when we did it in Egypt?
I was, yes.
How many days were they actually in the belly? About 7 or 8 days?
10
days?
10 days, 11 days, somewhere in there.
No, because we finished just before we got off the boat, and we were on the boat for 9 days. And
but we went in before that point, I think.
No, because we had to prepare before we got to Sekhmet, right? You're right. Mm-hmm. But they were in the body for 9 days.
Yes.
And it's really interesting. I was thinking about my first interview with Justine and Michael Toms for New Dimensions Radio sometime in the 80s. And Michael asked me a question about timing, and I wasn't expecting it, and I didn't really know what Kairos meant at that time. And so I dodged the question and asked him to edit it out. But because he asked me a question I couldn't understand, I started paying attention to timing. And whereas I still sometimes make things according to convenience, plan things according to convenience, thinking that, well, the magic will just be there. It's really more empowering if I say, we need to be in the pyramid on a particular day. like an equinox or winter solstice or something like that, and plan for it. And then, or I'll go and ask, like I did for Sekhmet, gave her some choices on what day to do this, and she said today, and then I got to find out what was happening now. And so it's just really important that we stay aware, because this whole process started on one of those auspicious full moons in January of 1997, when I was in Switzerland preparing for a class on Sekhmet that I had no idea what we were going to do. And on this auspicious full moon night, there was some kind of a stellar astronomical layout that had the planets and things lined up in a particular way that made it really important. And so, like with harmonic convergence, but not with as much fanfare, the word got out, and around the world people were meditating for peace on that night. And my colleague who I was working with, my partner in Switzerland, is a Jungian psychiatrist, and she's also very deep into Buddhism. And she gave me a special gift that night. She gave me a Tibetan jewel pill. There are lots of Tibetan jewel pills used for lots of things, but this one was different. First of all, it was about this big, and it came in a little square box, and it was wrapped in foil, and it had been kept in the dark, and had to be prepared in the dark of night on an auspicious full moon, and the person that ate it had to be wrapped in blankets, taught the Medicine Buddha mantra and read it over and over again until I don't remember when. And it was supposed to be a subtle experience, but being a psychedelic tripper, maybe, or for whatever reason, for me, there was nothing subtle about it. And I do write about it in the book somewhat. I don't remember whether I mentioned the psychedelic effects or not, but I probably did. I can't remember. Anyway, I'll let you read it for the details, but suffice it to say, I went through a full shamanic death, illumination, and rebirth. And in the illumination stage, which was the following day, we went to work on, we've got a class full of people, what are we going to do this weekend? And Sekhmet said, we're going to work on rage. And we thought, hey, great idea. Let's deal with rage. There certainly is plenty of it. Okay, this is 1997. So it started with rage, and it started with wax. I even have the wax right here. Here's a piece of the kind of wax we use. You get it at the Rudolf Steiner schools, the Waldorf schools. But the problem was that the more you worked it, the stiffer it got, and the more difficult it got to work it. So since then, we've settled on twine. The idea is that you tie a knot. If we were doing just rage, for the last time you remember being enraged, and then you go a half an inch later. This is the kind of twine that I use. It has to be organic because you're going to burn it and you don't want to be poisoned by the smoke. This is, I believe it's jute, and it's about that thick. And if you tie a knot and you put your prayer into the knot, and then a half an inch later, you tie the next knot. So you you hit on where the rage came from, and you acknowledge it and what it came from, and then you tie knots for it. You tie knots of gratitude for the lesson that you got from that experience. You might tie knot for a prayer for what you would do with the energy that came from remembering that. And then you go on to the time before that you experienced rage. And pretty soon, boy, these knots are tying different than they ever did before. This is interesting. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The idea is you're winding up with a sculpture of knots, or a line of knots, or however it is. And by the time you're done, because we've moved from rage into all characteristics that you have that aren't serving you, like how you react to things, if you are judgmental, if you're critical, if you're self-sabotaging, all the things that you want to change in yourself, that regardless how hard you've worked at it, you haven't been able to accomplish that. Eventually you get quite a lot of knots, but over the years it grew until finally, when it was committed to book, we added our physical ailments, our emotional ailments, our spiritual ailments, our soul ailments, pain, suffering, guilt, all of the things that keep us from lifting up to that next vibration that the Lion's Gate is assisting us at this time to prepare for. And meanwhile, each one of these knots is an offering to Sekhmet. It's like you're preparing a meal for this goddess. Where is she? Oh, she's right here. Let me just give you a little taste here. Let me hit play. Did I hit share yet?
Not yet.
Oops, maybe I have to do that first.
You go into pick your image and then hit the share screen.
All right, but I have to find my image first. Hit the share screen, and then I have to pick out, this is what I want to share. Wait a minute, it's not sharing. Why isn't it sharing?
I think you have to highlight
the second button that you press. Yeah, you highlight it, and then you press another button that says share.
There, it's up now.
It's up now? Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
And so now if I hit play, then you just get Sekhmet. Okay. So here she is, folks. The lioness goddess, Sekhmet. Her name means power. And we are making these offerings to her so that she will eat them, digest them, and transform them into potent and powerful positives that will benefit you in your life. But more than benefiting you in your life, it will prepare you to be, as she is, a guardian of Ma'at. Now, to understand what that means, we have to look at the myth of Sekhmet. Now, remember that this myth is thousands of years old. And if we sat in a circle of 20 people today and whisper a word in one end, it's going to be different by the time it got around the circle. So you can imagine what happens in 5,000 years, right? The difference being, this was written. It was written in scrolls. It was written on walls. However, the anthropologists or Egyptologists or whoever translated those myths, A, were mostly men, B, they couldn't fully understand the hieroglyphs because the vowels are sacred. And so there's a lot of intuitive work that goes into translating. If anybody has ever read Normandy Ellis's Awakening Osiris, her translation of the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and looked at any other translations of the Egyptian Book of the Dead, you would understand the difference between literally interpreting hieroglyphs and being a priestess, poetess, visionary, shaman, and translating the hieroglyphs. It's a big difference, okay? So, that said, her myth was attributed not just to Sekhmet, it was also attributed to, and I'll show you this one, Hathor. And Hathor lives in the south, and Sekhmet lived in the north. And the north is called Lower Egypt, and the south is called Upper Egypt. And it was the bringing together of the two lands that created the civilization of the great empire of Egypt as we know it. Okay? Now, the myth may have initially been attributed to Hathor, but it's really Sekhmet's myth, and her capital was Memphis at the north, right at the dividing point between Upper and Lower Egypt, but it was it was the capital of Lower Egypt, whereas Karnak in Luxor, which was called Thebes, was considered the capital of Lower Egypt. Now, our statue, from which, let me just back up this way and see. Well, this particular statue that's in the Metropolitan Museum in New York comes from Mut's temple in Karnak. This one comes from Hathor's temple at Dendera. This one comes from an iconographer in Nevada. Amazing. I actually considered it for the cover, but it was just too busy. But isn't it phenomenal? I mean, 24 karat gold, gemstone. Please mute. Oh, no, can't mute. He really captured her. Let me go back. Where am I going? And this is what Kat Leno painted of the statue that has been at Karnak for 3,500 years. It's made out of black granite. It's about 8 feet tall. And people think they go to Egypt for many reasons until they stand before that statue, and then they know they were called by Sekhmet. And those people, mostly their lives were changed forever in that moment. So she's not to be trifled with. She's serious business. If you're on this call, chances are she's calling you. Yeah, what can I say? I put a lot into writing this book, and for good reason. So back to her myth. When things got out of whack in a very ancient time, it was very much like it is now. Disrespect of the earth, people disrespecting one another, people just everything going crazy. out of balance, no justice, cosmic law violated and defiled, truth had no meaning. Just kind of like it is right now, okay? So what happened back then is Ra looked down at the earth and the people that he loved, and they weren't paying attention to him, they weren't honoring him, and he sent the daughter of his eye, Sekhmet, to go deal with the upstart humans. Sekhmet, incarnate in whatever way she did at that time, looked around and saw the suffering and how needless it was, and began to slaughter all the people of the earth. And it was carnage. It was horrendous. And the people well, let's look at it from Ra's perspective. He was horrified. He realized that he had no control over this goddess, and they were all going to be eaten, and that would be the end of humanity. And his great creation and experiment would completely unravel. And so he went to Thoth, because Thoth is the mediator of the gods, and that's who they go to when they run into trouble. And he said, make 7,000 vats of barley beer. Now, when we think of beer now, we think of a recreational high and a refreshing summer drink. Back then, living on a river in a country that has one little river nourishing the country that comes all the way from deep Africa, the water isn't exactly drinkable, okay? So they had to come up with other liquids that were nourishing and refreshing and maybe got you high too. But it was a very different thing than beer today. So they made this beer, and all their beers had different things in it. Well, this beer was spiked with mandrake root and pomegranate juice to make it look like blood, poppies, blue lotus, which was a psychedelic of the time that I'm in the process of researching right now. Very likely mushrooms. It could have been at a time when the land was verdant, because lions used to roam the land of Egypt. Lions and antelope was their main prey, and it was a very, there have been cycles over the millennia of thousands of years of desert and thousands of years of green and all the stuff in between, over and over and over again. And so the question is, they were told to pour this out in puddles around her, and that when she woke up from her nap, she would think it was blood and lap it up and get so drunk she wouldn't be able to kill anymore. Okay, look at this goddess. Does she look like someone that you could domesticate that easily? So if you give it some serious thought, but particularly if you get to know her, make a relationship, you can ask her yourself, whatever they put in there. Oh yes, the reason I brought up about how green it was is because there were mushrooms in it. And it's the mushrooms that catalyze the blue lotus. That is one of the things I'm learning about in my research. So very much like in the 60s, there was a war, everything was completely out of whack. LSD came in and basically ended a war and changed things. And of course, they made it illegal and have done everything they can to make sure that doesn't happen again. And we're back where we were. And so there's this power struggle going on between heart and ego, for lack of a better word. And then you add the level of narcissism that we see in certain places of governance in the world, and you really have a recipe for disaster. So Sekhmet is called in at times when everything is out of balance to bring things back to balance. And that the word for that balance, the harmony, the truth, the cosmic law, the justice is Ma'at. And Ma'at is both she's both a goddess and a concept. And as a goddess, she's often seen winged with her arms outstretched, which I have another illustration of, or as she is here with a single feather on her head. That's usually an ostrich feather, but occasionally an ibis feather. And in this particular carving that comes from Abydos, you have Seti I, the pharaoh, offering Ma'at to Ma'at and saying, I give you back Ma'at. This is at his judgment day, at his death. I give you back Ma'at. I have not changed a thing. And so ultimately, Sekhmet is the guardian of Ma'at. And in the work of this book, she is incarnating in every one of us who does this work. And we become guardians of Ma'at. And we're not going to go out and slay people. We're going to love them. Because that's what happened when she drank the beer. She went from rage to love. And then walked away. And she just went south to Nubia. And Thoth had to go and cajole her and celebrate her and talk her into coming back, because she's so important to the survival of this planet. And so when things get like they are now, that's her time. And that's why this book is here. Does anybody have any questions before I go on? And if so, let me get out of screen share for a moment, and we're going to raise, wait, I have to escape, and then I can go to stop share. And you can raise your hands if you have a question or a comment real quick. Debbie, see if you can catch it. And if so, otherwise I'll just keep going.
Hands right now. Just give it a second for people to. Nope, no hands right now. Any messages?
I hope that's because I'm really clear. Clear?
Totally clear.
Okay, very good.
Well, I would like some clarification on what do you mean with, are you in the...
Come closer so they can hear you. This is Heidi. What do you mean? What?
When you say, have you read the book? Have you not read the book? Are you in the belly?
Well, the book is called Sekhmet, Transformation in the Belly of the Goddess. What do you think that means?
Okay, I think I understand. How you transform, just it could be
In the belly of the goddess. It's quite literal.
Okay.
It's quite literal. And so you don't need to know it ahead of time. In fact, I was going to make it a surprise. But it got written by the people, the publishers that, wrote what's going to be on the back of the book describing the book. And it says, and you'll be devoured by this goddess. And that shamanic death, illumination, and rebirth is, pretty standard to the shamanic tradition. It's just what happens. And so why this is such an intense commitment is because you are literally committing to offering yourself to this goddess after very intense and careful preparation, knowing that you're going to spend a bunch of time during your life, while you're living your life, while you're doing whatever it is that you do, participating, first observing your own dissolution, your digestion, the reduction to your absolute essence, and then the regeneration, the beauty and joy of co-creation with this goddess as you put yourself back together, or she puts you back together with your intention very much a part of it. You okay, Deb, or do you have to go?
No, we have a question.
What's that?
It's from Ishilta. Just a minute. I'll just unmute. So you can go ahead and ask your question.
I can't see it. Is it Ishita? What's the name of the person?
Ishilta. Okay, so the question she's written here is Bast the tamed aspect of Sekhmet?
I don't like to say the word tame. She is a domesticated large cat, but there's nothing tame about Bast. Bast, she was initially revered in the town of Bubastis for very practical reasons. She kept the vermin from the granaries. And so they honored her. And as with anything, whether it's God or politics, it's geographical prominence and economics that kind of run who's heavyweight and who isn't. And at a certain point, when Bubasta came into some level of prominence, then she became more well known. But she and Sekhmet and Hathor are part of a trinity of, like the three sisters. Mm-hmm. And so she would be more of the maiden. And she's a fertility goddess. One thing most people don't know about her is she's the one who matches up mothers with their children. In Power Animal Meditations, she teaches us how to love ourselves and how to take care of ourselves, which is something we tend to not do so well. And so, I mean, who better than a cat to show you how to love yourself? I just, I guess tame, but, I see her a little more dynamic than tame. She's in Shamanic Mysteries of Egypt, she has a chapter on birthing that I think anybody who's going to have a baby or going to be a midwife or a doula should read it, because it's sort of the idyllic how birthing should be or could be if it was done consciously and with awareness. And so she's a great ally on a number of levels. I don't know whether I've answered your question, but she's certainly very close to my heart. And so she's almost like Sekhmet's little sister in a sense. But they're sort of combined. I usually consider Hathor to be the flip side. Hathor's a cow. But she is joy and love and compassion. And Sekhmet is like fierce compassion. And she's a warrior goddess. But when I look at that myth and I see her coming down onto this planet and seeing the suffering, you know, to not want to end it, regardless of what it took, is, you know, I would call it fierce compassion. And we are all evolving. It's not as though all the gods are perfection. I mean, just look at the Olympiad and the shenanigans that they pull. The drama around the families of the various gods. I mean, the only really joyful one, I think, is the Hindu, but they had their stuff too. I just don't know it. It's not one I've studied. But we're all evolving, and we're all evolving together. And when we work with them, I like to think of them as our ancestors. And I can see them, even though they don't have any bodies, if they had bodies, sitting around the table, sipping tea and discussing, gee, what would it be like if we found a petri dish, euphemistic for planet, that where we could infuse consciousness into living beings, what would happen? And then they found Earth, and then they had to wait a really long time until Earth was ready to be able to accept consciousness, and then it's been thousands of years of developing. And I think we're at another one of those critical points when we don't really have time to evolve. We need to mutate. Only, according to my dear friend Bruce Lipton, who is a cell biologist who's an epigeneticist. And epigenetics is a form of genetics that means above the gene. It means it's informed from above. So rather than the genes determining our life, what happens with the genes is determined by the environment that they're in. And once you make that shift in your consciousness, then you realize that you can change things. And when I told Bruce recently that when I had cancer, my mantra was mutate or die, he had a really good laugh. He said, you know, mutations are like gambling. They're like crapshoots. You don't know what you're going to get. He said, and until recently, they never heard of mutation by design, that you can actually control the outcome of a mutation. This is new in science. But we all know that science is catching up to ancient knowledge and ancient ways of thinking, or any kind of really deep, true shamanism, where you're informed through direct contact with Source, as the true pharaohs, like Seti I, who did the initiations, were. That's why he was able to restore that temple in the way that he did and give Ma'at back to Ma'at unchanged, because he honored where he came from. And when we realize, if we look at the perspective of that idea as possible reality, then the gods live inside us. They're in our DNA. So when we do this work, we're actually connecting to and awakening to a part of our higher selves that we've simply forgotten over the ages, and the atrophy that comes with being uninformed or misinformed for century upon century.
Nikki, we have another question.
Please.
Meg Beeler asks, besides taking place in Sekhmet's belly, how is this dismemberment and regeneration different from any other shamanic dismemberment? Explain why one might want to commit to this path.
Well, for one thing, it's very intentional. For another, because that time that you spend in the belly of the goddess, you are becoming a true daughter of Sekhmet. And when you are reborn as an adult child of that goddess, then you stand with her and walk with her. And you couldn't ask for a stronger ally, regardless of what it is you're going to do. But if you've read Shamanic Mysteries of Egypt, you know that she helps fertilize your heart to accept and grow the seeds of your sacred purpose. And every child in ancient Egypt grew up knowing that they were here to serve Ma'at, even if they didn't have the power of Pharaoh. But now there are no pharaohs. That's pretty obvious. Nobody has, there is not any enlightened rulership. And the enlightened rulerships, even in those thousands of years, came in waves. And you could tell by what happened during different pharaohs' reigns which ones may have been enlightened and which ones weren't.
Meg is unmuted.
No, Danielle's trying to say something. Oh, it's in a chat.
Okay.
Can you read to me what she's asking?
Someone pointed out to me that Archangel Ariel has a similar energy than Sekhmet. She is called the Lioness of God. Are you aware of any connection there?
Not specifically, but there's a lot that I'm not aware of. I'm just learning along with everybody else. But what I do know is that we're all connected, and when I do this work, the archangels are all there. When I do any of my work, because they come and I call them. And if I didn't call them, by now they'd come anyway, because they know what I'm doing. So the whole of the universe is connected. All of the pantheons are connected. Consider it like you have a wheel, the wheel of life, and it's got all these spokes and the outer wheel. And then in the center, at the hub, is the source. So each of the lineages, each of the traditions would be a spoke on the wheel. And yet they're all connected, but they're very different. But the source, the ultimate source, is the same. Does that make sense?
Just a minute, and I'll unmute Danielle. Daniela?
Yes.
Yes, you're unmuted.
Yes, that makes absolute sense to me. Yeah, definitely. Well, I contacted Archangel Ariel just to, sort of to confirm that, and I got a lot of support from there. And actually, the influence or what came in from her was actually my purpose. It guided me to my purpose, because what she is working with is animals, and she's taking care of them, and she's sort of their guardian as well, besides being a protector.
Certainly true of Hathor. If you were to take Hathor's initiation in shamanic mysteries of Egypt, it's like white buffalo calf woman. I mean, all the animals flock to her because they feel her love, and it just makes sense.
Yes, Hathor. I've actually got a more of a connection to Hathor before I started on the book. She was more familiar to me, and on some shamanic journeys I did, she was there as well in the temple. I don't know. I was sometimes taken to the Egyptian temples or to the pyramids, and Hathor was always there. So I seem to have more of a connection to her. But you're saying she's the flip side of Sekhmet.
Yes.
So, well, they are connected anyway.
Like Thoth, this is controversial, but some say that she and Thoth are the oldest. And it's my thought that Thoth came through the Big Bang unscathed and with full memory, and I believe Hathor might have come with him. Where's my camera up here?
Yeah.
This is the bead that I made for Hathor.
Yes. Oh, beautiful.
That's her sun disk.
Yes. Oh, wonderful. Okay.
Thank you. I made for Sekhmet. Wait, you can't see it.
Yeah. Okay.
Got all kinds of fire in it. Anyhow.
Thank you.
Monroe also has a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mute myself. Many years ago, I had a initiation daydream, and it was a very small woman and with a bird, and I asked her name, and it was Isis. So I assumed the bird was Horus. But at the end of it was a very elaborate initiation. At the end of it, there were many souls that wanted to live. And I think Sekhmet has many souls that want to live as well. So I don't know the connection between, is there a connection first between Isis, Horus, who came later possibly, and Sekhmet, and how does Sekhmet figure into I think Sekhmet is essential to the future culture where truth is revered by each individual again. But how is that imbued into individual consciousness besides through going through your book? How do we do it on a more mass level?
Well, the idea is that if enough people do this work, and not particularly this work, maybe there's work associated with the Lion's Gate or other groups that are doing other things that are developing consciousness at this level. The idea is to bring them together, to create communities. So my commitment is not only to be available to anybody who does this work, but to do periodic conferences that are calls like this, where we can come together, talk about it, where we're going, what we've learned, and do the next right, whatever it is. Get our next instructions direct from source together.
Mm-hmm.
Because the exponential power of our numbers is the only thing between us and a future of absolute chaos. So the more of us that can actually come together behind this kind of work, do this work, and communicate with each other, uphold each other, and work together, we can change things.
Yeah.
That's what my planetary healing book is about. I mean, alchemical healing can teach you everything you need to know to be a healer. But it was only the beginning, because we have this environmental crisis that has to be dealt with. Multitudes of people, situations, forests, deserts, floods, climate. You know, we can't, none of us can do that alone.
Right.
But together we can do something about it.
Yeah. And there was a melding, by the way, in the initiation. So thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, I think they're all tied together. This certainly isn't the only way, but it's such a fun way, because you get to witness from inside the belly. I mean, one person described what it was like to see the world through the pores of the skin of this lion body in which she was held, and what that felt like and looked like, and how you do your life while you're doing the work. And so you learn to bilocate, to multilocate, to do the work with your life. It's like I teach my healing students, if you can't do it at rush hour during subway during rush hour, what good is it? You know, we don't have the luxury of isolation to sit and meditate on our own. We have to be able to do it wherever we are, whenever we need it, regardless of what's going on around us.
Last question. Is there a camaraderie that you see between Sekhmet and Isis and Horus?
Oh, God, yes. Goddess, yes. Of course. It's a family.
Yeah.
The Pantheon is a family, and it's a no one gets left behind family. I mean, even though Set murdered Osiris and caused all that suffering and teaches us about our limitations, we have to turn him into our adversarial ally, because where's he going to go? There is no real obliteration. There's a transformation.
Right. Thank you.
Nikki?
Yes?
It's a little after 5.
So I'm wanting to know if anybody has any more questions about what this book is about before I take you to meet Sekhmet.
Megan is asking if you plan to teach a series that goes with the book. So a class.
It starts on Sekhmet. Where am I? It's in October.
It's November 2nd, so it's toward the end of October.
Yeah, 6 sessions starting October 16, Mondays and Thursdays. I'm going to do it in 6 sessions. I'm going to start teaching alchemical healing again, because everybody who did level 1 and 2 in the spring wants to do it again. And so I'm going to start with 1 and 2 and then do 3 right after Sekhmet, so that I'm done with all 4 classes before Thanksgiving. So that starts we never gotten up there. Yeah. I think it starts September 7th on a Thursday. And they're pretty much every Mondays and Thursdays at 5:30 Pacific. And so people in countries that can't do it, if you want to get a group together, I'll do another one at a different time for you. But I'm amazed at how many people get up in the middle of the night and do it. And I do record them all. So people are doing it from all over the world, even at that time. Other questions?
Let's see.
Janet?
Hilda was asking about if we have audio meditations for the initiations yet. And Janice, let's see. Why would I not do this? Is Janice's question.
I don't know. Why would you not do this? Anybody got an answer for that? Maybe because you didn't know about it. That's the only reason I can think of. The only reason I wouldn't do it.
I felt very safe while I was going through the process. I can't think of any reason why someone would not do it.
I can't either. You know, I mean, such an opportunity.
Yeah.
It's just so cool to be close with this goddess.
Yeah.
And there's so much in the preparation that I'm not getting into now, because I think it's more important that you just kind of know what it's about, meet her yourself. I will tell you that if it's fear that's stopping you, there is a free online article, Transforming Fear with Anubis. And in Sekhmet, in the belly of the goddess, transformation in the belly of the goddess, the first journey we do after we learn the heart breath is dealing with fear. And it works. And once that's out of the way, there really is no reason. So just to let you know, we know that that's there and we deal with that before anything.
And Carly has a question. Just a minute. I'll see if I can find her to unmute her.
Okay, while you're doing that, I want to address the question about recordings. The only recordings of the journeys, because it's a book of journeys. I don't know how many journeys are in the book. Can you grab me a copy of the book? It's way in the back on the bottom shelf. When I do the classes, they'll be recorded. But the standard at which I do my recordings, like this one, which is for kids with terminal or potentially terminal diseases, it's a giveaway. I can't. I don't have the time nor the resources to do the quality of recorded journey that would meet my standards in order to do it that way. And you have everything you need in the book. My recommendation is you do it with at least one friend, or else you put together a small circle of people and you do it together. I met this person who blew my mind. She came to a class in Seattle a few weeks ago, a presentation about this book, and she said, you know, I'm in this group of women. There's only 5 of us, but we've been doing this for 9 years. And we meet twice a month, 8 months of the year. 9 years. And they started with my first book, and they've been through all of them until now. And she bought 5 books for her other friends and 1 for herself. And they're going to start on this one. And every time they'd finish all of my books, they'd start over. And they said that the next time they did planetary healing or alchemical healing or shamanic mysteries of Egypt, it was like a whole other level. It's just like coming across something brand new again.
There is at least 22 journeys in the book, possibly 23.
Yeah, and you know, the preparation is the most important part of it. If you do the preparations deeply and carefully, and then you pay attention while you're in her belly, you're just in for an amazing adventure and surprise. It's quite remarkable.
And Carly is unmuted now.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not really dealing with any anger or rage or fear right now in my life. It's not something that I've been dealing with. I've been, doing my own work, and I was wondering, like this, I was kind of you were kind of thrown at me from left field, and I'm just coming upon all your books like within the last month. And I wanted to ask you if, coming from that perspective, what Sekhmet might have for me in this journey, or if I was just led to you for your other books. I'm having a hard time trying to figure that out.
Which left field did you come from? Left and right is a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
Where did you come from? How'd you find?
Oh, well, I started having Sekhmet and Bastet appear to me, and then I heard your presentation on the Shift Network's shamanic.
Shaman Summit. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. When Sekhmet comes into people's lives, she's calling them. Some of them are more prepared than others. It doesn't really matter. If you are enlightened to a level where there's nothing you want to change about yourself, I want to come sit with you. Because you're way ahead of me.
Oh, there's always something to change, but I'm not really dealing with any
they don't have
negative base.
They don't have to be there. You want to give her something to chew on.
How about this throat chakra? I have trouble speaking.
She'll find the goodies in there. You just have to spend some time with some yarn and start tying. And if you wind up with nothing but gratitude and prayers, then that's your offering.
Okay.
And that's what happens. I want to hear about it. I want your story. I want the stories of the people that do this work. Because what you'll see in the book is the stories of the people that have taken the classes. It just occurred to me I needed the people's stories, so I put out an email and I get these stories back. And the editor says, oh, don't put them back in an appendix. I was going to make an appendix. She says, put them with the things that they relate to. And so you get perspective from other people who've been through it with almost every journey. And it really makes a difference. It really makes a difference then, which is why I say if you can, create a group and do it that way, because you support each other. And it's amazing how you inspire each other when you share the information of your experience.
Nikki?
Yes, Debbie.
I'd like to share something. This book the process, being with Sekhmet, is so much more than transforming fear and anger and rage. It's enlightenment. It's recreating yourself. It's finding out who you really are or what you're here to do. Like,
and how it serves Ma'at.
Yes.
Because that's what's really important right now, is regaining the truth, the balance, the harmony, the justice, and the cosmic law under which we can live naturally joyful lives.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we got a lot of chaos to deal with. But we need all the help we can get. And we need to become the exemplars and the helpers. Yeah. You know, that's what the commitment is. That's what the purpose is. How do we live in service in that way and still survive in this crazy world?
Mm-hmm.
You know, does it mean you're not going to suffer and have pain? Not necessarily, although there's been some incredible, miraculous healings that have come out of this work. Amazing, instantaneous, significant healing in the moment as you go through it. Because when you reconstruct, you not only repair your DNA and start with a new blueprint, you get all the elements into place, and then you restructure your spinal column, your nervous system, the network of your endocrine system, the meridian system, your circulatory system, your brain, the various parts of your brain. I mean, this is very carefully constructed,
Surgical.
with surgical precision, recreate your life at a different level of harmonization. And I mean, you've been through it. Do you want to say something? How would you put it?
Well,
You have to come up close but make it brief, because I want to take them on a journey.
well, like Nikki was saying, I feel like she's already calling you. I think that the call is upon us because someone has to do the job, and that's us. And so we're simply stepping up.
We're it.
To do the work that needs to be done, you know, because
That's the one thing you're reminding of when I get really high. You know, I started taking psychedelics in 1964. So that's where I come from. And when I started, it was legal. And when it became illegal, then things got really squirrely and weird. And at a certain point, I made a commitment when I realized I was going to become a teacher, and then I realized a healer, and then I realized I was going to become a teacher. I wanted to teach in a way that people could have the kinds of life-altering visions and experiences that they had with psychedelics without having to look over their shoulder because they're illegal. And consequently, hopefully, my work reflects that power. And, you know, that's just how it is. That's how it's been. Debbie, how about for you? I don't know how many people have been through it. I don't think Marielle's on here anymore. So I don't know who else has been through it.
Wow. Wow. It was incredible. I've been through it 3 times now or more. It was so powerful for me. It's really hard to put into words, but it changed everything for me.
And it's not something that you necessarily go through 3 times in 3 years.
No.
She helped me write the book, so she was in it for so much more than, you don't need to.
The first time was 2008.
Right. And, you know if you need to do it again, but you really don't have to.
No.
But you may want to. There was somebody who has a question from Cherry.
So Connie has a comment. Would not the chaos be part of the process? If we did not have the current turmoil on this planet, would we feel so called to be here and be a part of the healing and support of Gaia? Matt. I am here. We are here. We are all connected for the beautiful transformation. I believe in us. And then,
so does Sekhmet.
Yeah, Cherrywood. As a suggestion, work with Rage for the planet, for the animals, plants, minerals, lost ones, 3X's. This is for the lady who doesn't have any present rage. Okay. And
hey, man, if you don't rage about what's going on in the prisons and in the wars and in the God, tell me what you're doing. I mean, I didn't want to say that. But I keep a lid on it. And I know that it is pushing us to do this because we have to. But wouldn't it be nice if we didn't have to? Wouldn't it be nice if we lived the vision that they had for us when they created us?
Yes.
It's birthing is a crapshoot. You don't know what you're going to get.
It's like a box of chocolate.
It's really true. And I was watching this thing on autism last night. 1 out of 16 kids are born with autism. What is going on in this planet?
Or develop it for some reason.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that is terrifying. So we've got a lot to do if we're gonna if we feel drawn to helping alleviate suffering on this planet. It's as simple as that. Somebody asked a question.
Connie asks, would rage be a healing element or a diseased element?
I'm not at ease when I'm enraged. I don't find much ease in rage. I may find release in it, but not ease.
It could be a catalyst, though.
Yeah, it could be a catalyst, but the what do you call it? The consequences, we don't have control over. The unexpected consequences of our rage. I mean, it'd be nice to be able to give into it and not have to deal with those consequences, but unfortunately that's not how it works.
Nikki, we've got about half an hour.
Okay, I want to take you on this journey. So let's see how we're going to do this. I want to take you back to here, put you here, and well, there's a picture I want to show you first. There's a few, just a minute. No, let's not do this. Let me get out of here. I have to hit escape. I want to take you to another picture. There's so many beautiful pictures in here. There's many, many, many illustrations. You know, like there's Medicine Buddha because he started it all. There's Sekhmet from the card coming in on her. I mean, there's just so many beautiful things. Somebody flashed on this tool. This is the closest thing I could come to a version of a tool that's given to everybody by Thoth. If you were to substitute that amethyst ball for a magnifying glass and put it in an ankh. But I don't want to give it away. But I do want you to see her actual statue. This is the real statue in its home place. This is where so many people have been awakened to her power and majesty. Let me give you another view. There's only one little hole.
Nikki, the images aren't up yet.
Oh, I'm not sharing?
You have to hit the share screen.
Sorry.
Share.
Okay, wait a moment. Let me go back and hit the share. Sorry, I'm just wasting your time here. Let me find. Okay, I have to hit the share screen first. Then I have to hit the one I want.
And then share screen again.
And hit share screen again?
Yeah.
I don't, don't I just double click it?
Select it and then you hit the share screen.
Okay, share screen. No? Why is it still there? I want this one. Oh, because I have to hit it here.
There. It's
there we go.
Coming up. There.
Now, but let me put it into place so you can see her. And that's her in her room. That's a close-up of her head in the room. This one, somebody was using a flash. There's just a little square up above her that lets the light in. And then a gate, but it goes into another room. But so I wanted you to see those. And that was the tool I was trying to show you. If you imagine an ankh with a magnifying glass. But Ptah, that's from Ptah. And other tools that we use, the ankh, the jed, and the waz. And that's Ptah, the consort of Sekhmet. That's Hathor in the same chapel. I'm going backwards, kind of purposefully, but because I do want to show you the sycamore tree where you spend a lot of time. Now, this sycamore tree is hundreds and hundreds of years old. And when I first saw it 30 years ago, it was scraggly and almost dead. And my Egyptologist and my land agent gave the guards money and paid them to water it. And now it's just, look at it. It's a healing tree. It's pretty amazing. Oh, there's a picture of what it was like when it was almost dead. I forgot I had that. So I'm trying to get us back to, this is the journey of how we usually get to her. Excuse me, I have to go back forward. Hi, Tha. Hi, Buddha. Medicine Buddha. Sphinx. Okay, we're almost there. Karnak. Come on, I want to get to the eye. Okay. This eye is part of that iconography. So while you just kind of look at this eye, we're going to do some heart breathing. So all of my work, it doesn't matter what book you use or whatever, everything is threaded through the heart. Because we know what happens when power bypasses the heart. And so it's very important that the heart is involved. So start out by focusing on your heart. Find the eternal flame that lives in the sanctuary of your heart center. And as you do, feed it with love. Love is the fuel. Pour love upon your heart flame and notice how it grows. Bring your attention to the heart of the earth, as close as you can get to the molten core. And begin to inhale, and it'll probably take you a couple of breaths to get the rhythm, so that you are inhaling in a single inhale the life force at the dynamo at the heart of the earth, all the elements that you draw on the way up, including the minerals, the gemstones. The water, the earth, the air, the fire. And as you come up toward the surface, the roots and the plants and trees, all the healing elements of the earth, and you draw them up into your body, up to your heart flame. And then you hold your breath while it mixes with your love, that you continue throughout this process to pour on your heart flame. Then when you exhale, it moves out from your heart in every direction, awakening every cell and molecule in your body that something is happening here. And then you reach up with your breath to the heart of the cosmos. We say up, but it really is surrounding us. The intelligence of all the celestial bodies and beings, and the field of consciousness in which we are all suspended. And you inhale that intelligence down through your crown, all the way down to your heart center, where it mixes with the love in your heart. And then when you exhale, goes out in every direction, bringing that intelligence to every cell and molecule of your body as it awakens further, knowing something is happening here. The heart breath happens when you use your breath like bellows and inhale the powers of earth and the intelligence of sky simultaneously. Inhaling, mixing it with the love that you're pouring on your heart flame, and exhaling from your heart in every direction. Then inhaling again from earth and sky, mixing it with your love, and then exhaling it again in every direction. Now this next time when you inhale the powers of earth and sky, allow it to mix with your love and exhale it out in every direction. Your radiance is such that that light, that fire, that power connects with whoever's nearest to you on this video telecall. And we connect at the heart around the world in all the places where we're located and throughout all the times when this breath has been done in groups with intention for healing, growing, evolving, transforming. And as you continue to breathe the heart breath, simultaneously inhaling earth and sky, mixing it with love, and radiating it out into the world, the light that connects us becomes brighter and brighter. And it attracts all the beings, all the archangels, the deities of all the pantheons, the animal totems and plant medicines, all the spirit beings in the galaxies and in the universe who are trying to help us start coming in, attracted by the light, knowing that something positive is happening on the planet. Acknowledge those you recognize as they join our circle. Greet those that you don't know. And invoke any that you wish to be here that you don't see. Perhaps your own ancestors, guides, archangels, totems, spirits that you work with, that you want to experience, to witness your experience. And as you feel them, feel them coming into the circle, you realize we are the below, and all the spirit beings are above, and as above, so below. The wholeness is created and remembered. You might want to open your eyes for a moment to look upon the eye that is looking at you so intently. And you feel yourself being drawn toward it. It may have started as a tiny dot in the center of the huge glow that connects us. but with each breath it grows into this full-on eye, this right eye, this solar eye. And you feel yourself drawn to it and through it. Trying to change the image for you. I'm having a problem here. I'm just going to have to wing it. And once you pass through the eye, close your eyes again and remember the image of the statue or of the painting of the statue. And you find that you can walk right up to her and look her in the eye and stand and face her heart to heart and eye to eye. And you feel a hand above your heart. It's not fully touching you, but the energy is so strong, it's like being plugged into a light socket. And it moves into your circulatory system, and it begins to move through your body. And it's the energy of Sekhmet, the Sekhem, the power. And that's energy that lives inside of you, that is being remembered and reminded of itself, and it comes to light. And then, while that energy is waking up in you, you look into her eyes, the eyes of this magnificent goddess. And her pupils are like vesica piscis, vertical, vaginally shaped portals from which emanates pure sunshine. And as you gaze into her golden eyes, let the sunshine move through your body, healing any places of pain. As she studies you and knows you, You can feel her stop at those parts of you that are weak or in need of healing. And she begins to transmit her message to you, whatever it is, and it's different for each of you. So take the next few moments to simply receive whatever transmission she has for you at this time. When she comes to a point of pause, you have an opportunity to ask her a question, or perhaps two. Take as long as you need to complete the transmission that she's giving you at this time. And then slowly back away from her. And you'll feel yourself being drawn back through the pupil of the solar eye. And when you're ready, ground and center yourself, and hopefully you have paper and pencil, a notebook or something, a journal with you, so that you can write down the details of your experience, which you want to do as soon as you can so that you don't lose it, because as vivid as it might seem to you, it can fade like a dream. And you'll want to keep track, because things that you're told or shown now might not make sense until further down the road, if you do choose to commit to this work. ground and center. And if you need help grounding, shift the focus of your breath to your hara, or what we call the belly breath. And inhale the powers of earth and sky to a point about 3 fingers below your belly button. And then exhale downward into the earth to ground and center yourself. And whenever you're ready, open your eyes. If your eyes are closed, if they're open, just hang out with her for a moment. Appreciate that the original of this oil painting is not any larger than this. Well, I'm looking at a 27-inch screen. I think some of you are looking at a telephone. But it's only, what, about 9 by 14 at the most? I find it remarkable. I'm just so pleased. The mandala is made of sycamore figs, papaya, and lotus. And when she first suggested it and gave me a sketch of it, I thought she was crazy. I just could not envision it. But she was right on. So I would really cherish to hear your comments and your experiences and any questions that might have come up. So I'm torn from not wanting to turn away from this photo of her to wanting to see everybody. I'll let you take a quick look, and then I'm going to go back to this, stopping the screen sharing and checking you all out.
I've been watching, and it's interesting to see everyone's reactions.
I don't know how to find my
do you have a sidebar with some of the video images, Nikki?
I got it now. I've got my cursor back so I can stop the sharing, and that will give me the gallery again, and I can make it. I'm gonna make it larger. There's a way. Full screen. Here we go. There we go.
So again, if anyone wants to share, they can put their hands up or write a comment in the chat.
How do I make it so I see everybody?
There. Do you see everybody now, Nikki?
No. Not
okay, so up in the upper corner, upper right-hand corner, there's a little square.
Oh, I see it. Gallery views.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. Okay. So I've got some of you. Hi, everybody. How you doing?
So we have 2 hands up. There is Anita. I will unmute you, Anita.
I know, Anita. How are you, Anita?
I'm doing well. During meditation, my dog came, got up behind me on the couch to partake, which I thought was quite cool. I just wanted to say that I have a picture. I took it without flash, and my entire picture looks as if it was taken with a flash, and I've treasured that picture for a long time. During that ceremony that we did that day, and I think this was about two trips ago, if I remember correctly, I had offered her imaginary blood. I don't remember the exact details, but when she was speaking to me, she reminded me of that. Told me, I asked her why I'm drawn to her now, but I didn't feel, draw before. And what she answered was that I'm running from her, and I made that promise, and now I have to fulfill. So just lost my one dog yesterday. I thought I wouldn't be prepared to be able to do this tonight, and now I understand. It's pretty incredible.
Well, I hope it's helpful. I hope it's been helpful for you, because that's really difficult.
I think it will be. And I think when my book arrives, I will be very involved. I'm pretty sure. Thank you for this.
To it. Yeah, I think we just sent it off to you, I think. Today.
Yeah. Just ordered it not too long ago.
Thank you. Okay. Who is the next person?
Thank you.
Carly.
Okay.
And you're unmuted, Carly.
Hi. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry to hear about your loss, Anita. The meditation was extremely powerful. The energy. This was the second time that I've done the meditation. Sorry, I'm like tongue-tied, so I think I'm not quite grounded yet. This is the second time that I've done the meditation. You did one with the Global Shamanism Summit, and this one was so much more powerful. And she shared with me that she wants me to spread her teachings. She will teach through me, and I will help people through her teachings.
Cool.
Very
lucky you.
Awesome. Yeah. And also that I should look into working with you very soon. I asked her, and she was like, of course. Why not?
Thank you, Sekhmet. Oh, that's so cool. All right. Well, thank you for sharing
Sums
that.
it up.
I look forward to it. Okay, who we got now?
That's the last of the hands up.
Hand up. I see Cassandra.
Cassandra?
Yeah.
Okay. She's not showing up here.
Well, I'm here now.
I was looking for the electronic ones.
That's fine. No, I've done some work with Sekhmet before this. I found her about a year ago, and I was so thrilled because I didn't realize how much I needed her at the time. And this one, she just reminded me that I'm in the right spot. I'm where I'm supposed to be, to have courage and have faith and to keep moving forward. I might cry. But I don't think I've had an experience this deep in a long time with her. Probably because I've been too busy and I haven't learned how to talk to her outside of my own little space. But it was beautiful, and thank you. From North Dakota, thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm so pleased to be in North Dakota. Good for for you. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Nope.
All right. So, who else would like to share? Come on, show yourselves. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. See, who else do we have?
Anybody else got their hands up?
Yeah, I've got a lot of people that are on the phone. Wait, somebody just.
Okay,
No,
Connie.
everyone, hands up. Connie Vogel, did you, two participants raise hands?
Yeah, Connie is unmuted.
Hi. Oh, thank you, Nikki. Again, once again.
Who do we have?
Thank you. Connie. Hi.
Connie.
I'm not on the screen, but I'm in the voice. Can you hear me? Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, we
I
can.
can hear you. I'm just trying to find.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Oh, that's not you.
Lots of tears. Lots of just overwhelming tears of what a compassionate goddess of love, full of love, and that she is embracing us all. I know I got more than I'm digesting right now, but I got love, compassion, honor, and awe. That was my message. And to be the light others want to feel and see, that people will come. I don't need to go to others. People will come to me if I just be the light. Just let the light shine from me, and others will want to come to that light and be a part of it and feel it and know it and be it. I asked what should I do next, and I was just to be open and to listen with all my senses, and that was the message I got. But just beyond the message was just a feeling of just a beautiful connection, and I didn't want to leave, Nikki. When you said it's time to step away, I was like going, no. I want to stay. You do that to me a lot.
I want to speak
Thank you.
to something that you said about your senses and how important it is for all of us to develop our inner senses, because this is really important. Our subconscious mind cannot distinguish between a vision, a dream or daydream, if you call it that, imagination, or real-time three-dimensional reality. So when our subconscious has an experience, like a cobra comes in and eats a tumor, if the person who's experiencing it sees it, feels it, knows it's happening, feels the chomp chomp and the takeaway, the subconscious mind is going to respond as though it happened in real-time physical reality, and the tumor will disappear. And that's
I've seen it happen.
It works.
I've seen it happen. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Polly has her hand up. You're unmuted, Polly.
Thank you, Nikki, and thank you, Sekhmet, and to all who are here tonight. I re-entered an experience of meeting Sekhmet a couple of years ago and a drum trance, and initially walking, playing the frame drum in a line with a line of priestesses wearing long white sleeve was just as it was in Egypt, and then turning to the right and entering the room in which Sekhmet's nose was located, and the nose opened and Sekhmet stepped out and came face to face. We were face to face, so I could feel her breath and the enormous love that she embodies. And I asked, how do I more deeply embody and move forward with embodying you? And she reminded me of, there was a relationship for me with water and being, I saw you were drinking the water, yes, and water ceremony, blessing and integrating drumming and dancing and blessing ceremony in water. There are so many countless ways of embodying and expressing and carrying forward the gifts that are being offered and reawakened within us, because they're already in us all. So thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I think Megan might have wanted to make a comment. Megan, you're unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. I was having a little trouble at the beginning. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you fine. I'm just trying to find you.
Really becoming present with I just have a lot of other things going on, but it was amazing to me how even with my quirky old computer and everything, that my head was kind of distracted by, how I was able to really, just from that painting, go so deeply present with her. And she really called me, and I asked first. I asked, at first I just felt her compassion. And I've had one healing with indigo where she brought Sekhmet in, and that was very powerful for me also. But I asked the question, how can I serve this protection of balance, sacred? And she said, she just kept saying, come closer, come closer. And then she said, I think maybe she said to serve by being in balance myself. But that answer is so, I don't know how to achieve that, I guess. So. But thank you for letting me share. I just love you, Nikki, so much. I'm very honored to get to be here.
Well, thank you. I'm honored that you're here. Thank you for being part of this. I really appreciate your presence. Thank you. Okay. So we should be just about over. Are there still more people that want to speak?
Cherry Wood.
Okay.
She wrote a message. I don't know if she wants to.
She did the journey, and then I just got back.
There. Cherry Wood, would you like to read your message, or would you like me to read it for you?
It's okay, yeah. If you read it.
Kidding me? Really?
Okay.
All of this?
South Moreton Bay Islands off Brisbane Coast, Australia. I was greeted today with the full moon and the sun both shining on me as I walled the bay and paused in stillness for today's meeting. Sekhmet gave me playtime today as we roamed the plains, and she is teaching me to roar into the universe with calm confidence in the vibrational reverberation we shared, the space of time, full love with gratitude, which I share this time, full journey with you all. Wait a minute, it just moved on me. Much more love and gratitude to you all. Thank you, Cherrywood. That's beautiful.
That is beautiful. Thank you. All the way in Brisbane.
Mm-hmm. I was just in Brisbane a few months ago.
Well, you'll have to connect the next time you're there.
Yes.
Definitely, definitely.
I'm hoping to bring Sekhmet to Australia.
Yeah. She'll be teaching it in Australia.
I'm hoping to.
Nicole will be teaching it in Eastern Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And Indigo will be teaching it. There's a number of people that will be teaching it. There'll be somebody in Switzerland teaching it. And you know what? You're going to be doing it in groups with each other. You don't have to have a teacher. I'm always accessible if you need any help, and just do it. Just do it. Do it with some friends, and you just support each other. So any other comments before we say goodbye?
I'm just going to unmute everyone.
What? What?
I just unmuted everyone.
I'm just going to pick lettuce next.
That's great.
Thank you,
Thank
Monroe.
you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nikki, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
My joy.
And thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Debbie,
Thank
too.
you, Nikki.
Both so beautiful.
Really wonderful.
Thanks, Debbie, Nikki, and everybody. Thanks, Debbie. Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you, Nikki, and
Thank you,
everyone for sharing.
Debbie, as well.
Happy
Yeah.
Lions Day.
Good night to all.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Dreams.
Bye-bye.
How do I do this?